All right, there's a bit of a delay, but I think this is working. Hi, my name is Phil, and I am a freelance artist and cartoonist, and you'll have to excuse me while I bring this up because I'm still learning how to do all this. And I'm going to bring myself up on the chat over here. Let me see, so I can at least see what is going on, because I can't keep flipping back and forth between these two, and I should have set this up ahead of time, but I'm still learning to do this, so everybody can wait a moment. Silly nonsense. I don't know how people do this. I don't know how artists manage to do this when you have a split screen effect, but somehow they somehow manage to do this. And I'm going to go on here. Somehow managed to do this. Nope, need to turn the audio down. All right, so if somebody's on chat, I can at least turn and I can see them. I suppose I should have set that up over here. Maybe I'll just count this again as another test. And there, I don't think that can be seen. Actually, yeah, I can a little bit. Boy, I got a busy setup going here. All right. Apparently I've got a couple of watchers. I don't know who. I think one of them is me. All right, I thought I'd try and do a little bit of a drawing test so that I can have a bit of a split screen effect here to show, whoops, so that you can see me and hear me in the view, and then I can actually do what I'm drawing here. It's weird because there is a bit of a 10-second delay, and I'm watching this trying to get used to the delay. Anyhow, let's see what we can do here. I wanted to do a bit of an intro video, and this might actually get done as a proper video later on, but I wanted to demonstrate the idea of drawing quickly. Doing some warm-ups first before you do a preliminary drawing, and learning how to do things quickly, because the faster your gestures are, the more life you're going to get to them. Oh, I do have someone there. Hi. Okay, that's excellent. I can see you. You can see me. I can see you typing. Probably what you're typing is likely a bit of a delay, so my response time will be a bit off. And there's no one else really watching. I don't know. I probably won't even keep this anyways. But in case I do, if it does go all right, maybe I will keep it. Excuse me. It's too late for this shit. I've been fighting with this system for the whole day. I got the technical end set up in my end. I got the computer working and the mic and the camera and OBS, and all that is actually working really great. It was now YouTube that was giving me trouble. So they've changed a lot over the years. I didn't realize how much they changed. I used to have so much more freedom with it, but now because you're not monetized, you're limited now what you can do. So I was really surprised actually at what they had done. But yes, actually, voice apps, I do see it. It's probably going to come through about 10 seconds after you type it and enter it. But I can see now you're there. Now I can blah blah blah. I can see all that. So. And I've actually got an extra person watching. That's great. Again, my name is Phil. I'm a freelance artist, cartoonist, caricature artist, and I wanted to kind of do some demos today and demonstrate a little bit about doing warm-ups. Because the idea in drawing is that you want to keep all your drawings very loose. Find that a lot of people, when they're younger artists, young budding artists just trying to get started, they tend to want to be very stiff in their line work, and it sometimes just ends up they go over top of lines and they get this scratchy look to it, and there ends up being a complete mess actually by the time they're finished. And it also ends up looking very stiff and stilted as opposed to having a nice flow to it. So what I'm going to show you is a few things you can do before you actually start on a drawing, even before you start on any preliminary drawings, way before you get towards a finished piece, is just a few warm-ups you can do with scrap pieces of paper. If you've got some scrap paper lying around your house, don't pull out the good stuff for this, what I'm going to show you. This is stuff nobody's going to see and you're going to want to throw out. So one thing I need to do is keep my posture back up properly. One thing we used to do actually in school, they had us do years ago, back when I used to take animation college stuff, was circles. And the idea is keeping your arm very loose. Don't tighten it if you're working flat. I'm doing this on a horizontal screen, horizontal in front of me, but if it was flat this way, if you're working on a piece of paper, you want to keep your elbow up. You can do this on a screen or on a sheet of paper. It's all the same thing. So don't rest your elbow. Keep it up off the table. Keep it loose. Keep your all your joints, like in your wrist and your elbow, all very, very loose. And so that as you start to lower your pencil, you start creating a circle over your page. Notice nothing's going down just yet. You can see the cursor circling around it, and it's kind of like landing an airplane. And you're going to bring the pencil down very slowly and to create this circle. And you just keep going over it. It's not going to be perfect. Nobody can make a perfect circle. You can get pretty damn close with enough practice, but in this case you don't want it. You want it very loose. You can maybe make some elongated stuff. You also start to notice a little bit on the pull this direction, because you write, when you hand write, you pull from bottom left to upper right. So your arm tends to pull that direction, and you'll see that sometimes in your drawings. You'll see it if you reverse it or look at it reverse in the mirror or through light in the window. You'll see that everything pulls to one way, and this will kind of help correct that. So keep that in mind as you're trying to keep everything upright. You can keep it, don't worry about it being messy. Messy is fine. Do them different sizes. Oh, I said first real stream you viewed. Is it really? You've watched streams before. Well, no, I guess you've been in live chats. Anyways, you can fill the whole page with this. I'm using Sketchbook because it's a nice simple program. There's not too much stuff in the way, and it's just a nice, really simple interface to work with. I probably don't even have it set up properly here for this, but that's okay. The setup I have is what kind of works for me. It's different from what works from other people who use this program. I like it, but there's a couple of small frustrating points with it. Your Command plus to zoom in doesn't do that on this program. I can hit Command plus and it just won't do anything. You actually have to hit the magnifying glass and then zoom it up and down like that in order to zoom in, which I find a little bit frustrating and time consuming. But it's the only thing I don't like about it. Otherwise, it has a terrific array of all kinds of pencils and tools, and you can actually do a lot with this program. And it's a shame that it's not really updated or supported anymore. With the real person on the end. Yeah, it's true. No one does handwrite. That's a lost art, man. Everybody types. I wonder if in school, if that's how it's set up. I mean, all the kids have laptops and iPads, and they type everything. I don't even think they even teach them how to type properly. I actually took a proper typing class in school and learned how your home row and striking certain keys using certain fingers, and there was a little bit of an art to it. And handwriting, though, is just, whoops, handwriting is just a lost art. And I just froze my screen over here 1 second. So yeah, that's it. Circles. I still do this to this day. I will still fill up a bunch of crappy old sheets of paper. You know, when, as an artist, or even when you're starting, you know, when you're living with your family or whatnot, and your dad comes home from work, or your mom, or, you know, even your neighbor might come over and say, you know, hey, at work they were going to throw out all this paper, and I knew you're an artist, so I thought you might like it, and they dump on you this crappy paper they use at work that all has letterheads on it, and it's the wrong type of and you're like, oh, this is terrible stuff. But I always keep all that stuff, no matter how terrible the paper is, because it's great for doing this kind of thing. It's great for doing all these rough warm-ups where you can just fill them with a bunch of crap like this and just get used to your hand on the page and keeping your arm up and loose when you're trying to do this kind of thing. And you fill it with all this literal crap that no one's ever going to see. But it's the kind of thing where it helps get you comfortable and loosened up. I used to do these swirls like this. This is what they used to teach you in handwriting, was to do this kind of thing. And it keeps your hand loose. It's just simple little S waves. I can do Command Z and go backwards, but me too for 4 months. Again, I'm seeing a bit of a delay. So what was 4 months? Typing class or handwriting class? I'm presuming typing class. I took typing twice, actually. But drawing quickly can kind of help too. That's why these circles I'm not concentrating and trying to go over like this. I'm keeping them really loose and gestural. And you will see that makes a huge difference, because when you try and make something like this, or you try and do something like this, even though this is messier, you start to see something that looks a little more gestural in it. Typing, yeah, I remember taking typing. I actually failed it my first year, but I had this obnoxious teacher, though. It was the only reason I failed, is I hated the teacher. She was just annoying and was not... Mrs. Costello, actually, was her name. Letting you do the squash and stretch like this. But she was just this nasty person, and I could never figure it out. And then the following year, I had somebody named Mrs. Patterson, and she was nice. I actually did a better job the following year. So circles is something you can do. There's a little exercise you can do that looks like perspective, but it's not. And you draw a line down the side of your page and make a point right about the middle. It's kind of like the vanishing point. With a mouse, yeah, don't even try. I tried that for years, and I can't do a circle with a mouse. It's ridiculous. You're never supposed to do that. That's why you have these things. Call it a stylus or a digital art pen, whatever you want to call it. It's not like a stylus, because a stylus, it has some of the same features of it. I can use this on the computer, and I can tap on the screen, and I can use it in place of a mouse if I need to. But it's also built in with pressure sensitivity. So you see how you can go to a thick and a thin line like this. And this one doesn't support tilt. Some of them have tilts where you can go on an angle. It's like using a pencil on its side, where you shade an area by leaning the pencil over, so you're using more of the graphite. It actually could create that effect. But this one, unfortunately, because it's a little bit older model, wasn't built in with tilt into it. But I don't really use it anyways. So, hey, oh, yeah, her name was Mrs. Costello. Believe me, she got that all the time, to the point I think it drove her crazy. And that was the 80s. No, she was, it kind of annoyed her, actually, when people did that. So, but anyways, a great little test is by drawing this line down the side, putting your little mark here, which looks like a vanishing point. Again, this looks like perspective, and it's not. But drawing a line out, then the next one drawing it in and trying to intersect it. Whoops, that was terrible. But trying to keep a relatively straight line. And it's hard to do as you come down. Let me try it again. It's not an easy thing, actually. So you're drawing a line out. Now come back in, but try and hit that point. And you find that it feels different on the top half up here than it does on the bottom half down here. There's the dynamic switches. And it's the same if you do it on the other side. Excuse me. So I'm going to make a straight line down the side, little vanishing point here. And you're drawing out. Now you're pulling it. That feels weird when you pull it. And it's not easy. But trust me, this gives you. You can try it this way as opposed to pulling and drawing it across. When you go to do things like perspective, this will give you gives you comfort in a little more comfort in doing it, because you keep this loose gestural effect. So if you practice something like this, again, it seems a bit odd until you actually sit down to draw and you go, hey, and you start to get that motion in with it. What was another one? Sometimes just doing simple shapes, because we've done circles. And the trick sometimes in doing this is just simply your mindset, not even necessarily what you're putting down. Instead of thinking circles, think in terms of spheres. You're trying to create something that has the illusion of three-dimensional depth, but does not. You're still on a two-dimensional surface, and so you're doing a 2D drawing, but you're doing it in such a way that it fools the viewer's eye into making it think it looks three-dimensional, and that's where you learn overlapping spaces and whatnot. So it's like a circle. Keep in mind, think of it as a sphere. You're outlining the planet Earth, and so you think that there is sort of a roundness to this. You're doing a ball, not just a circle. And when you start thinking like that, you start to create a different effect with what you're drawing, because your brain wants to see something a little bit different. Your brain is picturing something different as you're putting it down. Whoop, that's... Right, so what would be good? So let's say we want to do something simple like a square. So we're quickly doing those fast lines, and you can overlap them a few times. And the lines, these shouldn't be straight. People get used to playing a lot of video games where they think things are kind of straight as it moves across the screen, but to give it a proper illusion, it would go towards a vanishing point, like in perspective. And if you are not familiar with perspective, that's something I'll cover later on. But I tried to converge the lines so that it goes to an imaginary point somewhere up here. And I'm jumping ahead of myself, I know, but that's okay. We'll come back to it. So you can draw just a simple box, like you're looking at the front, and you can even just do the side like this. So it's a cube, a square box. You're getting something three-dimensional. Same thing with a cone. A cone, sort of a three-dimensional triangle that is rounded. So I'm going to do the bottom just by doing something like this. This is the bottom in perspective, because you're looking at a bit of a line. And you can do this, and you're crossing the top. It looks a little bit like a teepee with a circle on the bottom. You have your sphere, your square, your cone, which then becomes a lot of your shapes. Another one to add to that is what I call the tube or the cylinder, which is like this, but it's just the same at the top. Let's see if I can make a bit more room here. Can I scroll this down? Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. He's been acting very strange today. I'll just zoom in a bit. So, and you can even arc it like the cylinder. I kind of do on a little bit of an arc. Sometimes I curve it, and you'll see why when it comes to anatomy, why I do this. But you have the sides. I'm the wrong way, but that's all right. Top and bottom. Let's see how messy that is. I am the messy artist. You will never see anybody do preliminary drawings as messy as me. I'm drawing it really low to the table here, which makes it a little bit awkward. And dark in the front. So, excuse me, I'm up way too late. And I think I just... Oh, all right. You can fill pages and pages like this, especially if you're stuck in a position where you really want to draw something and you're waiting for that inspiration. I don't know what to draw. You want to do a superhero or a giant monster, or you want to draw a bowl of fruit. You don't know what you want to draw and you're just kind of figuring out something. You know what? Grab a bunch of scrap pieces of paper, pull it all out, and start doing this right here. Draw some circles, draw some shapes, draw those lines, keeping your elbow up, thinking about this while you're doing. It can be anything. It can be like friggin' scribbles, and it doesn't matter. Actually, don't wiggle from the wrist. That's something else I forgot to mention earlier. Is let's do something new here. File, let's go new, and I'm not going to save that. So when you're doing these kind of things, you don't want to, you're not moving your fingers, you're not moving your wrists. It's kind of the elbow and the shoulder. It's this part of your arm, not down here. So you're not going like this, like you're writing, because this is handwriting, right? It's like this. And you know, you're kind of not doing this so much, but instead you're kind of moving. And you can even see a difference in the line work, eh? Like if I try and go like this, as opposed to that. You know, this is bigger, but you get a sense. You get a sense of it being a little bit different. Even if I have to go smaller, go from dark to light, the pressure sensitivity, right? It's guzzling RAM. Live stream can do that. That's where having 16 gigs of RAM comes in handy. I just got a new M1 Mac Mini. Been so itching to try this out because my poor old computer, the old one I had before, which I did bump up to 16 gigs, but even though my old one, my old 2011 Mac, couldn't handle live streaming, this is doing it. Like I put my hand on the top of the computer and it's still cold to the touch. I have OBS running, plus I've got Sketchbook Pro running. I've got the mic, this camera, and also the screen display all going into this computer all at once. Plus I had to add an extra USB hub on it. So I have all this stuff going in, and my computer's not making a sound. Not a single sound, and it's cool to the touch. So yeah, I'm blown away by this. My old computer, which had 16 gigs of RAM, is it couldn't handle this. So it utilizes the RAM differently, I believe. I'm not a techie guy. I'm not one of those geek types. I really don't know, but I just know that it handles it better. And because when I tried to do live streaming before, the computer would quit. It would quit the live stream with 2 minutes in, and I'd hear the fans running like mad. And it worried me because I thought my computer was going to explode. It would get so hot. So I'm going to just sort of end this. I was talking about drawing quickly. I was going to end it here. I might just kind of do one more thing real quick. Let's get a new page.